T here back once again for you and for all the people listening here via YouTube Blip or here live here on the Dukect Lounge. Thank you so much for joining me, Dukect. If you're here live, remember the phone number is 724-444-7444. The number is 724-444-7444. And the call ID to connect to me, Dukect, is 92417. Once again, the call ID is 92417. What a week. A week of, what a week. What a week of the entire pro wrestling scene, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Well, let's see. We heard first, well, let's not sugarcoat this. The first major news story of the week happened way back during Sunday before the last Total Nonstop Action pay-per-view. Before that, was it no? It wasn't no. It was Against All Odds. Before Against All Odds, we had this huge news. Very huge. Is that Vince Russo, one of the most controversial pro wrestling writers in the wrestling business history, has been let go. And has been let go, and he is no longer a part of the this is the biggest change in this whole outfit in a good long. Since we all know TNA basically stripped the power of Vince Russo since Bruce Pritchard came into power last year, right around Bound for Glory, the show before Bound for Glory. And this is actually, you know what, a really interesting and, you know what, a well overdue change. To me, Vince Russo may have some good ideas, but at best, he is a role player. He is a role player that you need to at least a person that you need to be a heavy filter. Because if you want to say, okay, he made the actor, fine, okay. But he had a filter of Vince McMahon. He took the good parts of these ideas and let him do what he needed to do. When Vince Russo went to WCW, that's one thing, when he had no filter at all, he went so bat-ass crazy, you just didn't know what was happening. Turns were happening, things were just not making any type of sense whatsoever. Face turns, heel turns, swerves, everything else, just to say, oh, they never see it coming. But Vince was just, but without Vince McMahon, Vince Russo just can't really get done on his own. And he just, drifted. He drifted until basically Vince Russo was, I think he was hired, let's see, I think he was hired at, let's see. Yeah, I think it was hired back in 2006. Let's see. Let's look at the entire thing. Let's go on to good old-fashioned. Let's see here. Let's see, Vince Russo. and he was hired at, let's see, he was, in fact, he actually started in 2002. 2002. July in 2002. Jeff Jarrett, he actually went to Jeff Jarrett's NWA TNA promotion as creative writer. And he left the company after TNA Victory Road 2004. And he actually described the whole thing was just a total nightmare. His experience with TNA back in 2004. And then 2 years later, in 2006, Dixie Carter, TNA President Dixie Carter, re-signed Vince Russo as a writer on the creative staff. And, well, since then, there have been a lot of some interesting chances started. I'm looking at Wikipedia, his Wikipedia page, and it says right here, during the March 2007 pay-per-view Destination X, on the last rights match, Vince and Sting, Fire Russo chants erupted from the crowd in the arena at Orlando. It's just Orlando indicating the fans' frustrations that occurred during the match, which honestly, a lot of people blame Vince Russo for a lot of things that derailing TNA, and then they continued. The Fire Russo chants continued through TNA, Lockdown, the Electrified Cage, and then next thing you know, some people, Dixie Carter, said it was Dutch Mantell. Dutch Mantell said she didn't get this idea. I honestly think it's probably, of all the defense Russo gets from Dixie Carter, I wouldn't be surprised if he did claim this idea. But let's continue. And in 2009, sometime in 2009, Vince Russo became the head of creative. And he actually addressed the Fire Russo chants. Russo said, and I quote, he was not head of creative during the time when TNA, he was not the head of creative during the time when the idea of the electrified steel cage was presented to him. He said that there was no way that the concept could have been done in a believable manner, and he was often blamed for ideas that he never even came up with. And honestly, I agree with that point, because the people who actually were booking TNA at the time around 2006 was Jeff Jarrett, was Dutch Mantell, and let's be honest, TNA back in those days, some people call it the glory days, they weren't that good. I mean, they had a lot of promise. There were a lot of good things back in those days. But I still consider that Jeff Jarrett and Dutch Mantell, those two guys did not know what the hell they were doing. And people like Scott D'Amore, who actually booked really competently, did competent stuff, well, were just drowned out. Eventually, they had to do the whole Planet Jarrett thing, having Jeff Jarrett win the title nonstop every time, and it got ahead during Slammiversary 2006, which, it just really got really bad. And I don't blame all the problems with Vince Russo, but there are some things. There are some things that that I think Vince Russo has to take credit or blame or responsibility for. For example, some of these ridiculous swerves, the de-pushing of Samoa Joe for guys who I don't think are ready for the spotlight, the Crimson Gunner, these guys. I don't know. I just feel like they just really weren't really. You had to look, but maybe I'm not really blaming Vince Russo for that. But maybe Vince Russo was not to blame. Some people do blame him, but there are some things. The funny thing is about Vince Russo. I'm sorry, I don't know what jumbled and everything else. Like I said, there's no script here. The funny thing about Vince Russo is that all the younger guys, the guys who were back there, they always said, you know what, the guy always looked out for them. He may have gave them not really good enough to work with, but he always featured the young talent. Which is always interesting. I mean, he got that part right. Russo got that part right, in that he knew where the young talent was. But there were some things he really didn't need to do. And there's a lot of these swerves, I honestly think, you can't tell me from a head of creative standpoint what they did to Mr. Anderson for, honestly, putting the title on a drug-induced someone who was basically who was going to burn them basically. I mean, he was legitimately someone who was a hazard, who I still believe is the hazard in this ring, because of his whole rock star lifestyle, Jeff Hardy. You know, I don't know who cared, but he was the head of the creative at the time, and I know he had some decent power. And I honestly think they should have done something. They would have saw some warning signs, or maybe say, you know what, I don't know, not send Jeff Hardy out there. You know, that sort of thing. And the fact, and not only that, but not only that stupid moment, how about the whole baseball wielding clowns incident with Sting and everything? That one, that was really dumb. And then having Sting win the TNA title just for Kurt Angle to swerve and join Immortal with, you know, Jeff Jarrett, you know, the guy who cheated in real life, by the way, cheated with Kurt Angle's then wife, Karen Angle, now Karen Jarrett. It's, you know, that's just amazing. That is, you know, I don't know, that's vintage Russo. I just don't see any real positive from that, and it just really pisses me off. It just really, really does. It just the storylines that just go nowhere and such. But let's really be honest here. Vince Russo is not always the person to blame here. He's not the evil boogeyman. It's like with Jim Cornette, like you think he would like for you to believe. I think it's my personal opinion, that, like I said, he's a role player. You could have him right there next to you, like say, you know what, here you go, or what have you. But I think it's best if you have Vince Russo as a, you know, someone you can heavily filter, not someone as a main star. You can't have him as the head of creative, because once you do, he just goes all over the place, and that's really the problem. So, is it a real positive? Is it a positive that Vince Russo's gone? Yes. Yes, it is. It is a positive. I mean, it really is. I mean, the Impact show, last show on Impact was really paced really well. Still, they had some stupid stuff in it. Sure, there's a lot of stupid crap in there's a lot of stupid crap in Impact Wrestling. There still is, you know. Robert E. and it's basically TV championship. Just, I don't know why he's still the TV champion. Seriously, he needs to drop that belt and give it to someone like Bully Ray. See what else? Oh, another good thing they could have done. Madison Rayne. I don't know why Madison Rayne is still getting pushed, because she is dreadful in the ring, dreadful in the mic, and just overall just piss poor. And the way they did that whole battle royal just really pissed me off. Yes, Velvet's okay, but you really have to realize you have so much talented gals there. I mean, Tara okay, you don't get. But to me, I would like Miss Tessbach. She has more of an upside than I think Velvet or Master Rain will ever have. It's really sad. What else? What other thing that really does? Eric Young and his stupid segments. I did not like those at all. Another thing, just Jeff Hardy basically doing well, having any type of shots and such. I still don't know why he's still in the main event. He shouldn't even be close to a championship. That's just that's the overall company. That's the overall company these days. You still have these decisions. I guarantee a lot of people do not want to see Jeff Hardy come right back into the championship. I know there's fans, his creatures at the night, which I have no ill will for. I mean, Jeff Hardy is a public figure and he has his fan base. But to me, it really just smacks me right in the face because it was basically around a year ago, he basically came to an event late. He couldn't find him for the rest of the event. He was somewhere getting high or stoned or what have you. Walked out into the ring so messed up that he could not compete in a one-on-one match that could have gotten to not only himself but your champion injured. And they had to work a 1-minute match. I'm sorry. To me, that was so much of an embarrassment. To me, I would have fired him or give him just say, you know what, if you want to stay in this company, you're going to rehab. There's no debating or what have you. I really hope he is actually going to rehab, but like Matt Hardy, which I hope he actually just, stay out, hopefully because I hear he's getting better, and I hope Jeff Hardy's the same way because, as much as I do not like the Hardys at this moment, at least I hope they get better enough to maybe, just maybe, get in the Hall of Fame as tag team, maybe just get that, get back in the good graces or what have you, because it looks like he might not. I mean, it looks like maybe, they hopefully get on the right track. Be Matt or Jeff Hardy. And there's another one of the things that TNA needs to get rid of and basically needs to change. Garrett Bischoff. The entire Garrett Bischoff storyline. I'm sorry. This shows that how much nepotism still exists in professional wrestling. I mean, let's look at this guy, Garrett Bischoff, who has no in-ring skills at all, who has no mic skills at all. And yet, because of his last name, he is rubbing arms with not only his dad, Eric, but also his trainer and confidant is Hulk Hogan, where you can actually do this to anyone else. In fact, this dude was a referee. Why should I care about a ref turned to a referee who they didn't play upon that he was his son, Eric Bischoff's son, for over a year? And honestly, it looks like he's not doing it on his own. He's doing it because the reason why he's getting all this time and attention is because his dad was, his dad is probably one of the biggest names in this business. That's why he is right now. And I just hope that he doesn't come back because I just don't want to see Garrett Bischoff I'm sorry. It just really pissed me off. Garrett Bischoff, it just shows you why that some things, he might be good in the future, but it's not really helping him in the long run. Because this is going to say, well, he isn't any good. You don't put a person who is not good in the ring, not good, someone so green that he might basically hurt not only himself, but also his opponent, or make him look bad, which is even worse. I'm saying injured and making a person look bad. The injuries are really bad, and even more so, making someone looking really bad too is Gunner, who just so up and down, it's not even funny. He was TV champion last year, lost in a fluke with Eric Young, and had a one-night feud with Mr. Anderson, disappeared, did the Bound for Glory Series tournament, disappeared from that, lost all that stuff, didn't qualify for the rest of it, and just, well, fade away in the background. And they said, yeah, this guy's going to be the next big star as he just takes down people like Shannon, Jesse Neal, Rob Van Dam, or what have you. I mean, they're trying so hard with Gunner, which I think would be a good idea to push someone like him. But to put him against Garrett Bischoff, a guy with no real charisma, no real ring presence, no real in-ring skill, and no in-ring mic skills, nothing. He has nothing really distinguished about him. It just seems like there's nothing there. And it's really, really apparent that the reason why he is, like I said, the reason why he's there is because who his daddy is. Anyway, that's all I got to say about the Vince Russo thing. Is that okay? It's happily that Vince Russo is now gone and everything else, because I think Vince Russo was a problem, but there's still a lot of work to be done in this company before it can actually say it's the true alternative. Anyway, I'll be right back after this little song break here on the Duke CT Lounge. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, here on the DCT Lounge. Phone number once again is 724-444-7444. Again, the number is 724-444-7444. And the call ID to connect to me is 92417. Once again, the call ID is 92417. I'd like to thank you once again for listening to the DCT Lounge. And not only that, but we gotta get to our next story. And the other thing that happened this weekend, doing Against Our Lives. Now, it looks like, well, let's see. What happened Against Our Lives was the first match, Jesse Sorensen versus Zemayon. And let me tell you, it was a really scary injury, and the video and such, which Zemayon's knee hit Jesse Sorensen's neck during the match, and they had to switch the whole ending and such, and because he made Zemayon happened. This early in the match. It wasn't really Zimion's fault, as he just needed to just make sure he doesn't get hit with the guardrail. And Zimion, I think he was probably not Zimion. Jesse Sorensen. It looked like he was basically gone. It looked like he was basically going to be gone from the ring entirely, like he was going to be paralyzed. But the news is really positive. A couple of days ago, he felt feeling in his legs. Again, he felt he could move his own body. And now I'm hearing, just heard that he's actually walking on his own, and he's resting at home. He is resting at home now, and he is feeling a lot better. So I'm happy to report that Jesse Sorensen and his injury, while his injury is severe, it looks like it's going to really, he is going to recover and he's going to be just fine. I don't know if he's going to be wrestling again, but it looks like something he's going to, I think he's going to be recovered at least maybe like 4 or 5 months. But I'm happily to tell you that Jesse Sorensen is going to recover and hopefully have a full recovery. Have him walking again, and maybe, hopefully, because this is, hopefully he comes, hopefully he comes back. Hopefully he comes back better than ever, and hopefully he comes back better than ever. And, hopefully he does not have a severe injury like this again and everything else. Back to the world of pro wrestling. All the world of sports entertainment, as we're going to go to the WWE. As Randy Orton has gotten injured again. Or he's still suffering the same injury. He had a couple of I think maybe last month or what have you, or maybe he's aggravated it. Since he has supposedly a concussion that basically, now he said they suffer. WWE.com said he's suffering a concussion, but it's basically basically just saying that his injury has really. His injury has it's just a reactivated injury, and he's not going to be able to put it in the elimination chamber. And at best, he will not be there until WrestleMania. Which here's another problem with the WWE at this point is that, this is another problem is that another big star goes down. Mark Henry looks like he's not going to be back, maybe to WrestleMania at the earliest, or what have you. And Randy Orton, he's now gone for WrestleMania, and guess who's going to replace them? The Great Khali is going to. Great Khali is replaced. The Great Khali has replaced Mark Henry, but replacing Randy Orton, surprise, surprise, is Santino Marella, which I have to say is a brilliant thing, because let's be honest, Santino Marella, for better or worse, is probably the most over superstar, one of the most over superstars in the WWE right now. He is one of the most over WWE superstars. He has the, charisma, everything else. He hasn't done much in the ring. But he is really, he does those comments like he's over, the people know him, they like him. This guy really, really has his, seriously, he is really connected with the WWE audience, or the WWE universe, if you prefer. He is really probably one of the most how do you say, not the interest, but probably one of the most like I said, it's probably one of the most over. And not only that, I think it actually fits in the chamber, and this actually guarantees Daniel Bryan is going to win. And it's going to basically be him in the Big Show, which I think it would be good. And hopefully this ends their storyline. And we have Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan at Mania, which would be really good. Or they can really play in the fears and have Randy Orton take on Randy Orton versus Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan, which would be a little bit more interesting. Anyway, I think but this problem right here, really, this problem right here, Randy Orton basically getting injured, and there's no real guys backing him up. There's no real crowd, people who are connected to the crowd like Santino Marella and such. This is just another problem. This is the microcosm problem with the WWE. This thing in the WWE is the problem is because they don't have any big stars anymore. They don't have any stars to connect them anymore. And the shame thing is it's a shame because there's so many guys with talent, so many guys that have so much talent and so much charisma, but yet the WWE, for whatever reason, or what have you, for whatever reason, the WWE just does not feature them, does not put them out. To me, Tyson Kidd is really good, but yet he just doesn't get featured. Or they can be like Natalia, who do get featured, but stuck in a really stupid storyline with, farting or what have you, flatulence, which is so mature and highbrow. This is the problem with the WWE, is that they don't have any type of star. They don't have the star power like they used to. They don't got the star power. They don't have the connection with the fan. Most of the wrestlers don't have the connection anymore. Sure, they can talk through Facebook and Twitter, but let's be honest, as long as you're not featured on television, as long as you don't get any type of mainstream story or what have you, you're not really going to get any connection from the audience. And until that changes, until you start really featuring these guys and actually started doing their career, really showing who they are. Like, for example, I know Justin Gabriel's chasing Cody Rhodes with the Intercontinental title, which is nice, but we need to know more about him, give him a reason why people need to cheer him besides he does flips and everything else. We need to know who these people are. We need to know who these guys are, get them over as, have them build up, like have them fight against a number one contendership match, what have you, and, build that up. Have them be built up until WrestleMania. To me, screw the whole Cody Rhodes and Dusty Reynolds or Gold Dust feud. I don't care about that. I care about getting people over. The person, I don't think that match is going to be good anyway. Build up Justin Gabriel, build him up as the Intercontinental, and let them wrestle. And I think Justin Gabriel and Cody Rhodes will have a really good, if not great, WrestleMania match. And you can actually start building your future stars. It's time to start building, actually surrounding these guys with talent. Because trust me, Orton, if he's just still getting injured and such at this young age, I would not be surprised that he might have to leave because of injuries via Edge. Or Cena, who I think he's going to leave maybe in 2 or 3 years. Kane's going to probably leave in 4 years. Henry's going to probably retire this year. And who's there? You have Daniel Bryan, CM Punk. Who else is over? Zack Ryder, but he's in traction at this point. By the way, I love the whole Cena storyline. I just love it. I love the Cena Ryder, Kane Eve storyline. Love it. I really do. But anyway, there's no one really over in the WWE. There's only a smattering guys, because a smattering guys is that over. And which is sad because not only in the Attitude Era, but also back in the days of the 80s and such, you had slower card guys and such getting over. Tito Santana, Junkyard Dog. You had Roddy Piper. I'm missing a lot of names here, but you have a lot of people who are over, but never got to the main event. Of course, I probably did get to the main event, but you know what I mean. You had guys who were connected to the audience. Nowadays, you could get that there's no one behind, there's nobody that really can connect with them because they do these hot shotting and saying this guy's flavoring them up and that guy's flavoring them up. People need to start caring about these guys. And until the WWE starts caring about them, they're never going to really they're not going to get ahead. Anyway, that's all I have to say here about this. And thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you so much. Next week, we'll be talking about, let's see. Let's get that topic to talk about. I'll think about that one later. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to me in the Dukect Lounge tonight. Anyway, it's Dukect here. Peace and love. I'll see y'all when I see y'all later.